Okay, today we are delving into what's known as the semantic web. Now, I will just warn you before I start that I've had little time to revise myself for this lecture, so I may be a bit halting at moments, but I shall do my best, okay? But I have not had the normal time to get myself together for this. Okay, so we've been dealing so far with the World Wide Web. It's a web, as we know, of unstructured and semi-structured documents made up of HTML pages, database APIs, programmatic APIs, things like that. Now, one of the problems with the World Wide Web is that the data is mostly disconnected. It's in databases. There may be an API onto that database, but there is little, if no, connection between databases. There's very limited connection. There is some, but it's basically limited. So, for example, we may find an application that allows us to locate a hotel near a national park, but there's no guarantee of that. It may be that there's something available for the created by a national park, or there may be something generally available through a tourist-based website that would allow you to do that. But chances are there aren't. And you would have to do, if you wanted to find a hotel near a national park, you'd first need to find a park using information about parks, then find hotels in the area around the park, and then do some kind of analysis to decide which hotels were within a reasonable distance, for example, of the park. So there's a problem in that the data required to find a hotel near a national park is there, but it's just not connected together. It's spread about. The World Wide Web also has another issue that the semantic web is attempting to deal with, which is the anyone can say anything about any topic issue, the AAA issue. The web is not regulated, or is, let's say it is regulated, and certainly in certain countries it is a lot more regulated than it is in the United Kingdom, but it's still regulated in the United Kingdom, for example, for hate speech and things like that, under normal publishing laws. But we're not really thinking about that sort of state-sponsored restrictions about what people can say. Here, we're interested in the fact that I could make a web page today that says something like, said something which was totally wrong. And I can put that information up on the web, and there's nothing to stop me. So, for example, information about planets, if we're interested in planets, is spread among astronomy and astrology sites. Other sites as well, I'm sure. And one of the things potentially that these sites disagree on is whether Pluto is a planet or not. For astronomers, it used to be a planet up until, 3 years ago, something like that. For astrologers, it still is a planet because it's one of their astrological symbols. I don't know much about astrology, to be honest. But anybody can say anything about Pluto they like. I could make a web page on Pluto which I said it's made of blue cheese, and I hold it on a stick above my head. Nobody can stop me doing that. So there's an awful lot of information out there about Pluto, some of which is genuine and good, and some of which might be utter garbage. So how do we quality assure, to a certain extent, data on the web? How do we know it's good astronomical data rather than dubious astrological data, information? And anybody can say anything about anything issue or situation has a number of components to it. So, for example, the ability for me to write anything about anybody, including myself, means that I exist on the internet and as registrations in so many different forms in regard to my name. I'm sometimes David Kidd, I'm sometimes Mr. DM Kidd, sometimes Dr. David Michael Kidd. I exist in all these different names that are associated with me spread across the internet. So if somebody wants to find information about me, they would potentially need to search across all those different name formats and options to get all the information that's available about me. So non-unique naming. Information becomes out of date. So the information out there on the internet could now be 15, 20 years old. Planetoid, because they were created